Hello and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. You might be wondering, what is the fragrance wardrobe all about? I saw this tag beginning of the year. I saw a few of them, not many, and it kind of died off a little bit, and I was quite excited to see a lot of YouTubers do this tag, just to see what they would pick for different reasons, and just because I'm nosy and I want to see what fragrances they've got in their collection, to be honest. But I just thought I'd maybe start it off again, or maybe just do it, and then hopefully some mothers will join me. I'm going to tag everybody that fancies doing it. So basically it is choosing 10 different categories of fragrance. It's just different daytimes, different occasions, and what fragrances you would choose. So it's a little bit of fun and some casual presentations of some fragrances. So the fragrance wardrobe includes 10 categories to assign fragrances to, and they are hot day, hot evening, cold day, cold evening, formal event, close encounter, date night, clubbing, bedtime, and signature. And I am going to cheat actually, because I've just got so many, I can't pick one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it into niche, well, not even niche, high end and low end, in terms of, I think, just price more than anything. Yeah, we're going to cheat. So I've got 20 fragrances, which I think is just a bit more fun, really. So let's get cracking with the hot day fragrances. Let's start with the first one. This is the sort of more affordable, I don't want to say low end because it's beautiful, but it's the more affordable fragrance. This is Eclat d'Arpage by Lanvin. And Lanvin, or is it pronounced Lavin? Lavin. Has been going for a very long time. From what I understand of Lanvin, it came out the same time, I think, as the Chanel fragrances came on the scene, but this was completely overshadowed by, obviously, by Chanel being the amazing company that it came to be, and the fragrances were kind of pushed back a little bit and didn't get as much credit perhaps as they could have done. I think that's right. Anyway, this has been compared before now to Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Intense, and at first I didn't think that was a thing, and then I went into Boots recently and I decided to smell the Intense, and I kept smelling it thinking it really reminds me of something, and I realised actually it kind of does remind me of this, but this is way more up my street. The Light Blue Intense is more lemony, definitely more lemony. It is a nice fragrance, but generally I don't steer towards lemony fragrances. They're just not for me. This fragrance is very much a split between citrus and floral, and it is done absolutely beautifully. I'm not going to talk about the notes too heavily. I want to just bounce over each fragrance, otherwise we'll be here forever. This fragrance, actually has got a note of wisteria in it, despite me saying I'm talking about that notes, but that is a note particularly that I think is relevant in this fragrance. You can see my shadow. Hello. Not my shadow, my, reflection. The citrus and the floral comes hand in hand. It comes at you equally, and what I love about this is it's not a typical floral. The floral, like I say, is wisteria and there's some other bits and bobs, but it comes at you like a very cold floral. It's really unusual and it's incredibly refreshing at the same time. This is the 100ml fragrance, and this was I got this for £26 from Notino, but it has gone back up to £36, but that is still a steal. It's still a steal at that price, because 100ml of this beautiful fragrance is so worth that amount of money. It is such a pretty fragrance. It really, really is. There's a sort of niche-esque quality about it because it's very unusual. And I also want to just point out, this is in fact my most favourite bottle design out of all my fragrances, which may sound unusual. I've got a lot of beautiful bottles, but something about this bottle really does just, I don't know, I think it's absolutely exquisite. It's very angelic, ethereal. So beautiful. I think you don't really get the justice for this bottle in front of those pinky peach lights, but it's so beautiful. So Eclat d'Arpage by Lanvin is my first hot day fragrance. So because I'm greedy and I'm going to pick 2 for each category, my next fragrance option and my sort of higher end option is this beautiful fragrance called Fico di Amalfi by Acqua di Parma. I guess it means figs of the Amalfi Coast. And it is exactly that. It's a beautiful fig fragrance. I'm not one for typical summertime fruits like, lemons and those tropical sort of fruits. There's a kind of bright freshness in a fig, and also an earthy sort of grainy quality as well, which I kind of love. Fig is presented in a very fizzy, fun, simple way. There's also a creaminess as well that keeps it really kind of in that luxurious kind of feel. But it really is the most refreshing and invigorating fragrance for summer that I have. And the beautiful fizzy burst of fig that you get when you first spray it is just so gorgeous that I'm happy to just spray it and spray it and spray it and not mind that it, I have, because it doesn't last very long, you kind of have to keep spraying it, and that's fine because it's just absolutely beautiful. If I could only pick 2 fragrances for a hot day, I think these are the 2 that I would pick. So the next category here is hot evenings. I don't think it particularly is referring to going out in the evening or anything sociable. This is just hot evenings in general. This is the Versace Crystal Noir. I think it's quite a popular fragrance. I hear others talking about it. Not as fruity and it's not as summery, I guess. This one is more cardamom heavy. It's coconut, cardamom, there's gardenia, there's lots of other notes in here. This is just, to me, it's that holiday scent, that coconutty tropical scent, but more luxurious and more sexy because of that creamy cardamom spicy content. It is the most beautiful, it really is the most beautiful fragrance. If you haven't tried this and you like coconut smells, it's really worth checking out. It is absolutely stunning. So for the high-end option, this is a fragrance I've not actually spoke about before because it's actually new. It's from a company called Panna London. I recently got a load of samples. They were all lovely, but there's one to me that just stood out. So I keep it in the box because it's such a beautiful little bottle. It actually looks gorgeous in the box. Ta-da! It's so pretty. How pretty is that little bottle, honestly? This is the Gourmantic Orange. And it's very tightly in that cushion. I'm just going to pop it out. Can this bottle be any more beautiful? It's just 30 mils. It's only 30 mils. I think it's an extrait de parfum, so it's quite a high strength and you don't need to spray too much. Yeah, so Gourmantic Orange is, as you would expect, it's an orange fragrance, but this is not a typically summery, zesty orange. It's a boozy, chocolate, beautiful orange. So this to me is a photorealistic, juicy, bold orange that's been soaked in probably Cointreau or some sort of booze and then wrapped in a thin layer of milk chocolate. And it really is just beautiful. It really, really is. And as Christmassy as that sounds, I think this is going to be beautiful for summer evenings because the orange is bright enough. It's, zesty enough that it's quite refreshing. And then obviously for the evening aspect, you've got that lovely boozy quality and that lovely chocolate quality. Oh, yeah, this is really, really good stuff. So these are my 2 perfect fragrances for hot evenings. Okay, so moving on to cold days. So cold season was always going to be a bit of a toughie because I've actually been enjoying all my fragrances pretty much. I wear most of them most of the time. I've picked this one because I think I have possibly worn it the most in terms of my affordable fragrances. This is Angel. This is the EDT, and it is a soft gourmand kind of fragrance. So this is an apple and praline affair. This is kind of light, airy, but also kind of fluffy and creamy at the same time. It carries its DNA from the original EDP, but it is not as strong. It does not have that really sharp patchouli, which I never enjoyed. This one is much more sort of translucent. Like I say, it's airy, but it's really, really pretty. There's a floral aspect to this, I think, that makes it really, really pretty. It's a good all-rounder. It really works. It definitely works for the colder season. And like I said, this one I've been reaching for a lot during the day. It's warming without being too heavy. It's sweet without being, too cloying or over the top. And I refer to it as my little blue fluffy hug, which makes absolutely no sense at all. But it's just a lovely blue fluffy hug of a fragrance. So that is my day wear, my cold day wear Angel EDT. This one I have not stopped wearing since I got it. This one I've got recently, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago. So just 3 notes of jasmine, iris and powdery notes. This one is just what I was looking for. So I could throw this on and it's very light. It's got that slight talcum powder vibe, but it's not straight up talcum powder. It's got a bit of a tang to it. It's like a musk, but it's sweet musk. It's just, I don't know what it is, but I really, really am enjoying this. It doesn't have a huge projection. It doesn't have a huge character. I like how I can just spray it on me and it kind of disappears on me, like into my own being, if you like. It's like I put it on, forget about it, and you just get the very gentle trail that's just about noticed, and it's just that lovely sort of whisper, that feather-light whisper of fragrance, and I'm really enjoying this. Being that this is quite a large bottle, a 250ml, I've actually made a dent in it already, and I've only had it for a few weeks, so you can't see that, can you? So that's Dior and More, Christian Dior, and it's little mini me. So next we've got Cold Evening Fragrance. I could have just picked 10 because this is a hard one, but I've narrowed it down to 2. And is Cloud. My Cloud. I have worn this so much last year, and not just really in the cold evenings, kind of end of summer as well, but I couldn't be without this in my collection, and I think I wore it the most in the evening. It's quite a loud fragrance on me. This has got all the sort of notes you'd expect to wear in the summer. There's like coconut and lots of sweet things, and there's creamy aspects to it. It's very it's very sweet. It's very there's a freshness in here from mint. It's pointing towards being a summer fragrance, but because on me it is quite loud, and there's a lavender note in here which I think makes it slightly more mature, not too juvenile. I just found it worked for me more on a cold evening, and I just love this fragrance. You see it get compared to Baccarat Rouge 540 so often. I prefer this. It leans colder. Baccarat is very warm. I tend to go for more sort of colder fragrances, and I just prefer this fragrance. And I love the packaging because I'm an 80s kid, and it just speaks to my inner child on so many levels. I just really love it. So that is Ariana Grande Cloud. So my high-end choice is Tom Ford Noir de Noir. This is my dark, mysterious rose fragrance. So when I come in after a long day and it's cold and I want to come in, I just want to switch off from reality. Rose, chocolate, truffle, wine, and it's just all that in a bottle. It's musky, it's earthy, it's luxurious. It's just beautifully gothic. I don't know what, it's like an evening of self-indulgence. You can imagine being in a dark room laying on velvet cushions with candle lights, and it's a very gothic scene, and you've got roses and you've got chocolates and you've got red wine, and that musky quality from the truffle and from the patchouli, it gives you this sort of more grounded feeling. So it is very much a cozy, wrap yourself up kind of fragrance to wear on a cold evening. So yeah, 2 very different picks, but both I'm very happy with, and they are my cold evening fragrances. So next we're talking formal events, which is something I do very little of in my life. I'm not one for formalities, and I don't tend to go to many functions, I suppose. So if we're talking formal events, we could be talking weddings, or we could be talking something maybe more corporate, I'm not quite sure. So what I've gone with are 2 very different fragrances. My first one is my YSL Libra, which came out last year. And days I wear this to work occasionally, I always seem to have a really productive, confident day. I don't know what it is about this fragrance. It's quite a strong white floral, which is unusual for me because I don't tend to go for white florals. But it's quite strong, it's quite bold, and it's very creamy and smooth. Enjoy wearing it on those kind of days, you know, when you want to just like make a difference, or you just want to take yourself seriously, or if you want to, days where you're kind of feeling a bit like a boss bitch. Do you know what I mean? A boss lady. It's that kind of fragrance for me. So a formal event, this would be a very nice fragrance for a formal event, because you're going to take on a challenge, you're going to slay, you're going to just, you know, feel like your best self. And talking more, I suppose, corporate office side of formal, this is the sort of thing I think would be gorgeous and it would really work. My second pick is more aimed at weddings, and I've always worn Delina whenever I've gone to a wedding because it's just the perfect wedding fragrance. I've said it before, it is a fairy tale in a bottle. It's plush rose and peony. It's just everything. It's just the wedding scent. Yeah, you're just going to smell awesome wearing Delina. So this is my second pick for a formal event. This is the Delectable Delina by Parfum de Marly, and these are my picks for a formal event. So next up, we're getting cozy with a close encounter here. I'm not quite sure what close encounter we're talking about. I'm not gonna go more intimate than just cuddling and Netflix. So first up, I'm going to choose La Belle by Jean Paul Gaultier. This came out last year, 2019. My husband really loves this one. I really love this one. This is so cozy. This is so gourmand and sweet and simple, and just, Yeah, it's just a beautiful vanilla with pear, and I think it just makes for the most beautiful, cozy, slightly sexy, but mostly cozy fragrance. So just a juicy pear with a beautiful, warm, creamy vanilla, and you've got a bit of edge from the vetiver, and then you've got that, it's all sort of perfumed up, if you like, to smell like that classic sort of Jean Paul Gaultier DNA. But it is just such a beautiful fragrance, and it's by far my favourite from all the Jean Paul Gaultier line. That is my first pick. This is the 100ml bottle. I've worn this rather a lot. I've made quite a nice dent in that from wearing it last year. And presentation's absolutely stunning. I think it's screaming out, you know, close encounter, frankly. Yeah, that's my first pick. Second, we're going to go with my higher end. And my husband actually really loves this fragrance, which is why I've chosen it. So this is Black Phantom by Kilian. And I don't have to include the box, but I also do have to include the box because it really is such a huge part of this fragrance. The presentation is just everything. So we're talking cozy caramel, cozy coffee, sexy, cuddling on the sofa. Definitely a his and hers fragrance. Both can wear this and both smell flipping awesome. The more I wear this and experience it, the more I'm starting to realise how much it smells like condensed milk. That's what it smells like to me, this kind of condensed milk, like a brown, sugary, syrupy, creamy, all those gourmandish kind of elements. It's just that. It is really, really gorgeous, and I think it's gorgeous for a close encounter. So that is my second pick. That is by Kilian's Black Phantom. So if there's one category that demands roses, it's going to be this one, and that is date night. So the first one and the affordable one is Stella. It'd be weird for me not to have a video without Stella in it. It would be weird at this point. So I'm going to bounce over Stella very quickly. As you know, it's my fragrance that I've always loved. I'm sure I've probably worn Stella for so many date nights with my husband, so it had to feature anyway. It's rose. It's got a fizzy quality to it. It's got an earthy quality to it. It's also got a transparent quality to it. The rose itself is very beautiful. It's just my classic rose, and I'll always love it. So it's possibly a slightly blurry version of what it used to be, but it's still beautiful and it still deserves to be in this spot. My next pick is my higher end. It's a beautiful niche fragrance, and it's from a house that I've just recently discovered by Papillon Artisan Perfumes. This is Tobacco Rose. It's my new little obsession. I heard Lola Scents talking about this fragrance. The way she described it, I knew I had to get a sample of Tobacco Rose and try it out. So I asked for Tobacco Rose from my husband for Valentine's, and he bought it for me. So Papillon is a beautiful fragrance house in the New Forest here in the UK. And the fragrance really is the most date night appropriate rose. It is sexy, it's spicy, it's a true rose, and the ambergris note in here just is the perfect blend and the perfect balance to the rose content in this fragrance. It really is just exquisite. If you love a good hearty rose fragrance and you want to branch out to something, take it a little bit in a different direction, something a bit edgy, something a bit spicy, something very addictive and gorgeous, check out Tobacco Rose, because you will not be disappointed. And it truly is the most perfect date night perfume. Next category, night out clubbing. I don't go clubbing anymore, but I do go out. I go for meals, I go for drinks, go for wine bars, that kind of thing. And there's nothing like a good sweet oud to get you in the mood to have fun and to just, you know, let your hair down. And I've got a beautiful fragrance here, which I don't wear that often because I don't really go out that often. I don't get a chance to wear it. But this is my affordable alternative to a really beautiful sweet oud. And this is Marks and Spencer's Opulence Oud. I've mentioned this once before. I found it by chance in Marks and Spencer's. Well, I found an empty shelf with a tester on at least, and they completely sold out. And I found this bottle on eBay. Somebody was selling it, so I'm really grateful for that, because I don't think I'd have been able to get hold of it. And it's just a beautiful oud. It's just not strong, slightly woody, very sweet. Yeah, just nice. If you're just discovering ouds and you just want something that's just playful and friendly and not too heavy but fun, this is just a beautiful fragrance. And I think the person who sold me this on eBay is still selling them, so clearly he has a stash. So if you really fancy this, head on to eBay and just check out Opulence Oud by Marks and Spencer's. But it is such a great fragrance, and it's about £25, and this is a big bottle as well. So yeah, it's 100 ml. So that would be my affordable alternative to a nice oud. And then my higher end is, of course, Oud Bouquet. So like Stella, I talk about this one probably a bit too much, but it is what it is. It's just a beautiful fragrance, and it's a winner, and it ticks all the boxes in the category that I want to wear it in. Maison Lancôme Oud Bouquet. This is the older formulation. This is the older packaging. Absolutely beautiful. A stronger oud. Oh yeah, sweet praline, sweet creamy praline. There's saffron in here. There's beautiful rose note in here. It's just divine. It's just so complimentary. You do get compliments. I've always got compliments wearing this. My sister's always trying to steal it from me. She absolutely loves it. It smells beautiful on her as well. It's noticeable. If you're going out and you want to get noticed, this projects. It will project above all the drinks and the noise and the, you know, the chaos that will be in your club or in your bar, in your pub or whatever you are. You will be smelt, you will be noticed, and you will get compliments. It's got a velvety, demure, classy edge to it as well. So even though you're in this sort of fun environment and you're out there being loud, it's got something about it which keeps you feeling really beautiful and just really opulent. So those are my picks for night out and clubbing, both quite similar, one more affordable than the other, and both total winners. So the next two are my bedtime fragrances. My first one is the Lolita Lempiga, this the UD menu, and this is I think it's called the Midnight, by the Midnight, or the Midnight. And this is a flanker, which there are so many flankers for Lolita Lempiga, so many. This one is very close to the original EDP. Similar, it's got the licorice, it's got the ivy, it's got all those notes, it's got a kind of muskiness going on. But there's just something really cozy and comforting in this fragrance. There's something kind of fantasy whimsical going on in this fragrance. I could imagine someone like Maleficent casting a spell, some sort of dream spell from this fragrance and sort of, you know, throwing it over you. It's got that deep, dark vibe, but with that lovely, sweet, creamy licorice. The bottle is just Maleficent all over. Look at that. Absolutely. That's one of my favourite bottles as well. Aside from the first one that I showed you, this is probably my second favourite bottle in my collection. Absolutely love, love, love this scent. And my second pick, my higher end and its niche, is by Sylvain Delacour, and this is Virgile. And Virgile is part of the Vanilla collection. It was the boldest fragrance, in my opinion, from the Vanilla collection, and it focuses on a note of sage. This fragrance is incredibly aromatic. It's very, very peaceful. It's very sort of clean and also bright at the same time. It's got a lovely woody cedar element to this. There's also, I think, rosemary in here as well. So you get that lovely herbal, botanical, kitchen garden element to this, while it's also being very aromatic and quite warming. And it's like going into a spa and you just feel relaxed and energized and like that kind of comforting zen kind of experience. It's all that in a bottle, and it's like nothing else I've ever smelled. It's a very unique fragrance. Beautiful, beautiful bedtime scent. So those are my two picks for bedtime fragrances. Okay, so I'm going to finish this video now with the last category, which is the signature category. I do have two fragrances here. It's almost a forgotten thing, a signature fragrance, when you've got so many in your collection. First one is the sort of more low end. This is another Lempiga, and this is the first one I ever purchased. I bought this originally by mistake, thinking it was the EDP. I love the EDP, but this one to me is incredibly special. This is my Violet Woodland Wonderland. That's what this is, with ivy and violet and iris, and there is some licorice in here as well. It's like a whisper on the wind compared to the EDP. What I love about this is this woodland, slightly peppery, slightly translucent, airy weightlessness kind of feel to what is basically this sort of iris violet licorice fragrance. It's also got a kind of luxurious face cream feel about it as well. It's kind of bizarre. But the whimsical aspects of this really does put my mind into this magical woodland where you've got ivy growing up, trees, violets and things growing up, And there's just this element of fantasy and fairy and mystery, and I don't know, this is what this fragrance does for me. This is my very special signature scent, the Lolita Lempicka EDT. So the higher end fragrance I consider to be a signature fragrance is by Maison Dior, and it is Le Col Noir. It's a pretty sweet, fruity rose fragrance. There's some lemon in here, I think. It gives you a little bit of that kind of lift, a little bit of sharpness. There's a lovely green quality to this. It keeps it very watery, very light, very delicate. It's got that Dior perfumey bit of magic running through it, so it's classy. It's just an all-round beautiful, luxurious rose fragrance. And there you have it. That completes my fragrance wardrobe. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope many of you will join me doing a fragrance wardrobe. It's hard, but it's actually quite good fun. So I will keep my eye open and look forward to your videos. And I shall catch you all again on my next one. Take care. Bye.